The problem with recovery from burnout is that it's not a 3-day staycation at a Sadia Island hotel in Abu Dhabi.
It's a lot of realignment.
It's 18 to 24 months.
Of realignment. 18 to 24 months.
To fully recover.
Andreea Wolhuter is a keynote speaker, leadership consultant, and author.
I can't believe I'm actually going to say this, but...
A recognized research contributor and the 2025 Excellence, Leadership, and Innovation Award from Business Frontier, one of the biggest names in global leadership.
I hear this comment all the time is, everybody's got a little bit of ADHD. Incorrect. Okay, let's throw that out of the window. That is so incorrect. Burnout doesn't just happen. Burnout is insidious. So it will start off with I didn't get a good night's sleep last night. And then all of a sudden, one night becomes 2 nights. And 2 nights becomes like a week of not sleeping properly. And then that becomes the norm. You cannot self-diagnose ADHD. Please don't do it. Please don't listen to the TikTok and Instagram
Google
people.
Don't ChatGPT.
Don't Google it. Don't
Please.
WebMD it. You cannot self-diagnose ADHD. This has gotten deep really quickly in like the first minute of the podcast.
If you ever felt like you are doing everything right, hitting the goals, showing up for the team, leading with all you've got, and yet something inside you feels stuck, or maybe you are the one everyone turns for calm in the chaos, but behind the scenes, you are burning out trying to hold it all together. This episode is for you. Today's guest knows that story very well. Not because he studied it and continues to this day to break down human behavior for everyone to understand, but because he's lived it. And now he's helping people rewrite the narrative of their lives. Andreea Wolhuter is a keynote speaker, leadership consultant, and author with a 20-year career that spans aviation, hospitality, and top-tier consulting. A published author, a recognized research contributor, and the 2025 Excellence, Leadership, and Innovation Award from Business Frontier, one of the biggest names in global leadership. His signature jump shift framework helps people reignite their spark, move from autopilot to intentional action, and move forward both in life and work. This conversation is about waking up and unmuting, about tuning back into what matters before the ease and the fluff of comfort and the killer of all, hope, keeps you stuck. It's about recognizing the difference between performance and purpose and realizing you already have everything you need to begin again. So let's begin, Andrew.
Who approved that? That's an essay.
I had to put all your accolades in one place and tell people how amazing and gifted and wise you are.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
I know, it's
a really
electric.
special
It's
moment.
electric.
I know.
It's electric. Let's make the most of every millisecond.
Perfect.
First question to you and to all my amazing guests on Unmuted, Andreea. When did you unmute yourself?
I made a couple of decisions to move forward and unmute myself, not consciously, many, many years ago, and I've done it multiple times. And every single time I've done it has led me up to this point, because every time I've done it and I've unmuted myself and I've stood up for myself, or I've said no, or I've maintained a boundary, what has happened in that moment is I've expanded. And as I expand and take up more space, what tends to happen is I have more space to fall back into. That is my own space, if that almost makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Perfect. So the big unmuting that got me here sitting on the couch, and we'll talk about the whole rebrand and things like that later, but what got me here onto the couch was probably the last biggest pivotal moment of my life, and that was when I moved from corporate to consulting, which is what I currently do. And when I did that, what led to that moment was me choosing, or me having to make a decision at a crossroads of, right, do I stay true to what everybody expects me to be and chase the titles, chase the VP, chase all of those titles, or do I now make a decision and speak up for my purpose and what it is I really want to do and what it is that I really that I can really contribute effectively to the world, right? So that happened in 2023, and there's been a little unmutings here and there. And I think, like, when we talk about unmuting and when we talk about actually taking charge and moving with intention, I think what's really important to note is you're going to do little things here and there as well. There's going to be big unmutings and there's going to be small unmutings. The fact is they're all unmutings.
Micro.
Exactly, right? Exactly. So yeah, that was probably the first time I unmuted myself.
What was the most important one from the micro and the macro?
The micro and the macro, what was the most important one?
The first that comes to mind.
The first that comes to mind is when I stood up for myself. I stood up for myself in a professional environment where I'm a recovering people pleaser. So oh my goodness. I say recovering because it's a lifelong process of recovering from people pleasing.
Unlearning that.
Oh my God. It's not even that you can unlearn it because it is so ingrained. And if you think about how long you've been people pleasing, look at me going on a tangent. If you think about how long you've been people pleasing, that's going to take a while. That's like cement. That's like digging up a house, like a mansion, right? So I just say I'm recovering because every time I say recovering, I just feel like I'm getting better at recovery, but you never fully recover because you never reach a final version of yourself.
But
so
where is the parallel between being a people pleaser and being a kind person? You have been always the kindest, most compassionate, attentive person.
Thank you.
Maybe there is a blurred line between your nature. Yeah, you deserve this compliment because we know each other.
No. I'm gonna drop something now that might. I can't believe I'm actually going to say this, but so through my research in leadership and things like that, people pleasers, to a certain extent, that kindness can be used as manipulation, not intentionally. I'm not saying that there's always ill intent, but that kindness can actually be a form of manipulation because if I'm kind and I'm sweet, you have to be kind and sweet to me. You have to be kind and sweet to me.
The reciprocity.
Correct. But it is used, and I'm not saying that that's what we all do, that's what every people pleaser does. I certainly was not. I was just trying to create an environment that I felt safe in. That's why we people please, right? Yeah. We try and predict people's behavior in order to stay ahead of the curve, if you want to call it that, in people's behavior. And that being said, with people pleasing, I'm always just going to be recovering. Because we never reach a full final version of ourselves, and we've just got to find peace in that. But the biggest moment for me was, to get back to what you were asking, was in 2020. Maybe I shouldn't say the year, but there was an issue that came up in a professional work context, and for the first time in my life, I stood up for myself. I wasn't rude. I wasn't inappropriate or anything. What the action that sort of spurred on me defending myself or me standing up for myself was very disrespectful. And I handled it with grace. I handled it with every bit of, or every ounce of class that I have. And I stood up for myself. And that will probably stay as one of the biggest. There have been more moments, but not quite as substantial as that moment in 2020, that year.
And can you feel how that expansion is allowing you now to
Absolutely.
be a better consultant in the work that you do, to create a framework that you are?
100%.
Because you have this space of, so you are defending or expanding your value, your sense of self. It's a bit easier to put boundaries, right?
Absolutely. This has gotten deep really quickly in like the first minute of the podcast. I feel like
we don't want to waste
we don't want to waste any time, right?
Any time.
So I think that for me, I think people benchmark the unmuting and people benchmark standing up for yourself or pivotal moments in their life as something that has to be huge. It doesn't have to be huge. A pivotal moment could be you finally cleaning that one cupboard that you've said you would clean for the last 3 months now. It's going to take you 15 minutes, but you've put it off for 3 months, right? That could be a pivotal moment because then you're telling yourself that I'm actually capable, subliminally, right? And I think the biggest takeaway for when it comes to the unmuting yourself, when it comes to standing up for yourself or just standing within your boundaries and the limitations that the limitations that you've set for other people, parameters, right? What you are telling yourself in that moment is that I respect you. And there was something that was written in a book that changed my life.
Nice twist, I respect you.
When I read this book, and I heard Mel Robbins say it as well. She drills down on it quite often. And it was first said by I first read it in Dr. Jordan Peterson's book, 12 Rules for Life. And it was about every time you say you're going to do something or you're going to give yourself something. So say, for example, we're sitting here now and I'm like, okay, I've made it to the end of the week. Do you know what I'm going to have? I'm going to get myself some chocolate mousse on the way home after this podcast because I've worked hard today. And then I leave the podcast, I get stuck in traffic on Checkside Road, and then I go, do you know what? I actually just want to get home. forget about the chocolate mousse. What you have essentially done to your inner child in that moment is gone, you're not important. So, yeah, we're going home. What you desire, what you want, what I promised you, you're not going to get. And every time you do that, what happens?
You abandon yourself. You're saying no to yourself.
So when you abandon yourself, what compounds, or how does abandonment within self compound and get more? What does it end up in?
Emptiness.
And a lack of trust for yourself. You don't trust yourself. You don't trust yourself to do anything.
You're not keeping your
And then you
promises.
expect for the people that want to set goals and people that want to move and people that want to get excited about life, they start something, but they know deep down inside that they've given up on so many other things previously.
I hear the human behavior
Oh my word.
passionate researcher.
Even my body language is changing. I'm just like, let's talk about human behavior.
The most important thing right now to me is that you, among many other incredible leaders from different industries, are championing. And you are championing at saying, this is who I am, how I am, this is how I bring value in the world. For you to stand tall and say, yes, I'm neurodivergent, yes, I have ADHD, and I bring massive value, and I'm over-delivering, and that's why all the achievements and the awareness of the market. What was the journey of you proudly saying, I am like this? Because there is a lot of stigma associated with it.
There is plenty. Just make sure that we set the timers on these cameras for about 4 hours, because that's how long I'm going to talk about this for. Okay, so I don't want to be that cliche person and say, I've always known that there's something different. I'm not that, okay? I've known that I've struggled with certain things. I've just always thought it was, yeah, some people are good at things, some people are not good at things. But it turns out your brain develops differently, right? When you have ADHD, your brain develops completely differently in terms of, is it viscosity or is it size? In terms of size, your brain does not fully develop like somebody of a neurotypical, right? So there is an actual physical disability within your brain when it comes to ADHD. And a lot of the times what people forget is that when we see somebody with a broken arm, we go, oh, your arm's broken. We don't ask them, well, can't you, is there nothing that you can do to fix it sooner? Everybody has a broken arm from now and then, you know? Do you know what I'm saying? Because everybody goes, and this is probably one of the first myths. I'm going to be doing a bit of myth busting.
Let's go.
And I'm going to be doing a bit of reinforcement. So the first thing that I want to sort of get out of the way is, I hear this comment all the time, is everybody's got a little bit of ADHD. Incorrect. Okay, let's throw that out of the window. That is so incorrect. I can't even begin to, I don't have enough to talk about that. But the most important part when it comes to ADHD and being your own champion for it, I think that's where I want to set the tone for how I'm answering this, is that you have to become your own champion for it, because everybody is going to display ADHD in different ways. Just to give you a prime example, ADHD in women is displayed differently because they don't display the physical attributes of hyperactivity, whereas in a man, we display the hyperactivity physically. The hyperactivity for a female who has ADHD is here. It's the mind that never stops, but on an entirely new level, right? So the reason why I've become such a champion for myself is when you asked me the question, you said something about, how you push yourself and how you've continued to go for these accolades and things like that. It's a form of masking, right? Because if I'm able to, as somebody with ADHD, if I'm able to bring your attention over here, right, of the accolade, then your attention's not going to be on my Excel spreadsheet. That's absolutely horrific.
You're going to forgive me on...
Correct. So I'm going to try and I'm going to go for gold on the areas that I know I'm going to excel in.
To compensate.
To compensate, right? And where that then came to my detriment was I climbed the corporate ladder relatively quickly for somebody my age. I boiled that down to, hard work, absolutely, but as my very, fellow South African Charlize Theron says, right place, right time. And those right places and right times were networking, and that's how I got to where I was. But by the age of 34, I was the head of a function, the head of learning and development for a company that has over 10,000 employees. Yes. I had a team, I think it was at one stage it was 35 people. It was quite a role, but it was the title that I wanted, and it was one more promotion away from vice president of learning and development, which I thought is what I wanted when I moved into learning and development. So I thought, oh my word, this is amazing. Good title must equal happiness, must equal success, right? Because that's how I've been conditioned. Bless my parents, love them, but that's what they equated happiness and success to, is a job title, right? So this is what I know.
And the culture around.
Absolutely,
Not
100%.
Only, not only the parents.
So I went for it and I went for it and I went for it. And that's when things hit that's when the volcano erupted. Let's call it that, right? I was in a role. Now, there was nothing wrong with the role. There was nothing wrong with the company. The role was effective for what the outcome was for the role.
Okay.
But I realized very quickly into this role that I am not the person for that role. There's somebody better than me, because I was, and I call this amplifications. Or I don't call it. It's a psychometric tool that I use that calls it an amplification. If you do something that you are not naturally good at, but you have to do it frequently in your everyday life, you are amplifying something that you're not very good at.
Say it again.
Okay, so
I love it.
we behave differently in different contexts, right? So if you think about it and boil it down, there's one psychometric tool that I work with that boils it down to 3 personas, right? One is when you're all alone, nobody's judging you, authentic. One is when you're presenting to the world. You and I are now presenting to the world personas right now. And then you have a persona where you go, where you're stressed. Now, if you think about it, if you are not so good at something authentically, but when you're out in the outside world, you have to present that you are, how much energy does that consume, right? So what that is doing effectively, now don't get me wrong, an amplification here and there is very welcomed because it builds connection when you adapt your behavior to suit an environment, right? But if you are amplifying, or if you are doing, I hate using the saying, but it's going to land the best. When you are trying to be something that you're not, right? And it's all of your day, every day, guess where you're going? Guess where you're heading to?
Stress levels, burnout.
Oh, you see, this is one thing that I wanted to mention about burnout as well, and I'm so glad that you've brought it up here now, is burnout is insidious.
You brought it up, you set it up, because you are an amazing communicator, and I love talking to you. But let's continue. Just watch what he's doing, okay? Watch and apply in your own podcast.
So with burnout, guilty. With burnout, I think what people don't understand is burnout doesn't just happen. Burnout is insidious. So it will start off with I didn't get a good night's sleep last night. Must be that project I'm working on. And then all of a sudden, one night becomes 2 nights. And 2 nights becomes like a week of not sleeping properly. And then that becomes the norm of not sleeping effectively, right? You're just like, it must be because stress and things are getting more. And then you continue with the fulfilling the self-fulfilling prophecy of, I must be really stressed at work, therefore I'm not sleeping. So you just continue filling that vicious cycle. Then all of a sudden you start getting snappy at the people around you, right? The closest people to you. So relationships start to break down, right? And then all of a sudden, because you're tired, because you're snappy, because you're feeling a little bit alone, because the people around you aren't around you, then you start giving up on other areas of your life. So you're not gymming anymore, you're not eating right, and then all of a sudden, a couple of months or a couple of weeks later, where do you end up? In hospital. Now, the problem with burnout, and I get to work with management consultants who have one of the biggest rates of burnout in any industry, right? The problem with recovery from burnout is that it's not a 3-day staycation at a Sadia Island hotel in Abu Dhabi.
It's a lot of realignment.
It's 18 to 24 months.
Of realignment. 18 to 24 months.
To fully recover from burnout.
For the nervous system, body,
to reset.
muscles, gut.
Speak to any management consultant.
Wow.
Any management consultant that has witnessed one of their colleagues or they themselves have burnt out, they are down for 2 years. Forget it. Forget it. And this is why in my previous role, that's when it was polarized to me, where I was like, okay, I've always known that I struggle with certain things in my day-to-day, but now it's my whole day that I'm struggling with, where I'm that positive person. I'm the one that gets up in the morning and makes people feel good about life. Like that's the role that I've taken on because I enjoy it. I love it. I love making people feel good about themselves. That's, if I had to define my life and my purpose,
it's your
there
DNA.
it is.
It's your DNA.
Exactly. But I was the one getting up in the morning, and I was the one that needed leading. I had hives on my whole body from anxiety.
You had hives?
Yeah, I was getting hives on...
In that moment, yeah.
No, not in that moment. That moment was every day, all day. right? So I was getting
I
high
didn't know this about
anxiety
you.
attack
Okay.
to anxiety attack to the point where the anxiety attacks got so bad that I actually started losing vision in some of them while I was driving.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how bad it got because I was containing all of this. I was
Yeah.
masking when I was
Yeah,
at
yeah,
work
yeah, yeah,
because I
yeah,
didn't want anybody to see this. But things weren't moving. And when things aren't moving, they catch up to you, right?
Always.
And that's when I realized there's something not right here. But for the first time, it was everything that had happened in the years preceding this now all of a sudden made sense. And I'm like, I am almost certain that I have ADHD. So that was the seed that was planted in 2023. And I decided then to go for my first assessment for ADHD in 2024.
Thank God.
Yes. And I have to say this, I'm going to turn to camera to talk to this, is because you cannot self-diagnose ADHD. Please don't do it. Please don't listen to the TikTok or the
Don't
Instagram
Google it,
people.
don't ChatGPT
Don't
it,
Google it, don't
please.
WebMD it. You cannot self-diagnose ADHD. So I work with 2 psychiatrists currently. One is in South Africa and one is here in Dubai.
And why two?
Because my lifestyle when I'm in South Africa and the lifestyle that I have when I'm here in Dubai vary. And the whole purpose of going to a psychiatrist for your ADHD is learning to manage your ADHD effectively. Because people think, oh my God, ADHD is a superpower, yay! It's not if it is not managed.
It's not.
It's not a superpower.
Not
It is not a
managed.
superpower. It is I don't want to say disability, but it's not a superpower. It's only a superpower when you learn to manage it effectively. That requires analysis and that requires assessment by psychiatrists and other qualified people or clinicians that are able to diagnose ADHD, right? That's the first step. Then an ADHD assessment is not just like, can you pay attention? No. Okay. An ADHD assessment is like, right, how did this impact you as a child? How did this impact you as an adult? Where does this impact you now in your everyday, right? And then you go through that assessment, and then the doctor in Cape Town confirmed that I had ADHD. But here's the caveat. As an adult diagnosed with ADHD, 88% of adults diagnosed with ADHD are bound to have a second disorder, right?
Chain reaction.
Which is usually general anxiety disorder or GAD.
What is that?
So it's anxiety disorder, right? And then 55% of adults diagnosed with ADHD in adulthood usually walk with a third disorder. So, Andrew doesn't do anything half, right? So I fall part of the 55% of adults that have been diagnosed with ADHD. I've been diagnosed with general anxiety disorder as well. And I've been diagnosed with something else, but I keep that to myself. So the management for me, and this is where the problem comes in, and this is what a lot of people don't know. Think about when you've been anxious and you've maybe taken something to help you relax, right? That's usually something that tranquilizes or slows heart rate just to calm you down, yeah? ADHD medication is a stimulant, which means it stimulates. Anxiety medication is a tranquilizer, which means it brings down.
It's a fight.
Correct. So this is why people have to manage their ADHD by going for assessments.
Whoa.
So
I didn't know that.
So where I am right now with how I manage my ADHD is we've done through various assessments and monitoring and things with my doctors who are incredible. We've realized that when I'm doing a podcast or when I'm facilitating or when I'm training or speaking or on stage, do you think I need ADHD medication to focus? Because right now I'm hyper-focused on you.
So you're managing your chemistry according
Correct.
to your goals
Correct.
and environment.
Environment. Not necessarily
Environment,
goals. Environment would probably be the better descriptor. So right now, I don't have to take ADHD medication today because I'm so hyper-focused on you and this room, nothing else matters. And when I'm in a training room or I'm on stage, the world outside no longer exists to me. I'm hyper-focused. My levels of dopamine are optimum. I am functioning like a neurotypical. It's when I'm sitting in front of a computer doing the drudgery or doing the admin or doing sometimes even things that I would normally find creative. If I do too much of it, then all of a sudden I'm distracted. Then I am...
And that's what many people say. Everybody has a bit of ADHD
Correct.
because we get easily distracted. So it's absolutely incorrect to say everyone has a bit of ADHD.
It's absolutely incorrect to say just because they've got distracted. Because it's the same thing, and I'm just gonna keep throwing these beautiful little not mic drops, but these little beautiful little gems. Is when I hear people go, "Oh my God, he's such a narcissist." Right? You can't call somebody narcissist because you can't diagnose narcissism. Do you know that there are 14 traits that you have to be diagnosed with in order to be or diagnosed as a narcissist? 14 traits, and of which you have to display, I think it's at least 11.
Until you earn your narcissism label.
So, and it's the same with ADHD. It's not just about being distracted, right?
That's very surface level.
Correct, yes, it's very surface level. I mean, to give you an example, like when I don't have, and again, there are varying levels of ADHD medication. So just to sort of come back to where we were talking about how I'm managing, is obviously when I'm doing everything that I love, I don't require it. So the doctor said through questioning, through assessment, that my anxiety actually affects my life more. How does it affect my life? To give you an example, I have, when something doesn't go according to plan, this is previously, I'll explain how I'm managing it now, but when something doesn't go according to plan or didn't go according to plan in my life, what would happen was I would spiral. You wouldn't see it happen. It would happen here. And I would spiral to the point of I would not be able to move. Everything has to stop, right? Now, the problem with when everything stops is the world still goes on.
Yeah, you were in freeze mode.
Correct, because that's how I handle stress. So when I spiral, I don't just spiral in that moment. I then invite all of my friends over. Like, oh, Andrew, you ruined it. That's the version of Andrew that I invite in. And then I invite the version of Andrew that you did this to yourself. Then I invite the version of Andrew that, oh my word, how could you let this happen? All of those voices come in, the self-loathing, and they're in this tornado in my head. And I'm just going, I can't move, right? I absolutely cannot move. And it would be for the most simple things, right? That I would spiral for. But then that makes more sense with the ADHD, because with ADHD, we have rejection sensitivity dysphoria. So I have a heightened sensitivity to rejection than most neurotypicals, which on the other hand makes me a great facilitator or speaker because I can read micro expressions a lot faster than what a neurotypical can. Because when I can see people getting distracted or bored or whatever, then I can change tone, pace, hold them in the room, right? I recognize that a lot faster than what a neurotypical does. So that's a little bit of a superpower there. But because we have that, the moment I sense rejection in somebody's micro expression, I spiral, right? So the anxiety affected my life a lot more. So the doctor said, let's work with that first. And I was like, okay,
so I bet now you can observe it. You can zoom out.
Let me tell you where I am right now. Your listeners are going to have different views on medication and things like that, but my view right now is the medication that I'm currently on for my anxiety has changed my life, okay? It has space, stimulus, response, Viktor Frankl, stimulus, response, space. My space was that big on a good day, right? I would react to a stimulus within minus 4 seconds, right? Now, all of a sudden, I see something, like say for instance, a black podcast mic would normally make me spiral. I see it now, my brain registers that this is something that is not quite right or something that requires attention, but I still have my full peripheral view, so I can still move forward with my life and keep that on the side and work on it simultaneously to still moving forward with life. And I have space to choose how I react now. And this is what this has done for me. And some people say, oh, but you can't be on medication your entire life. I don't intend to be. I don't know where my life is going to go. But where I am right now, the gift that this has given me, I cannot recommend it enough, where it's given me the space to choose how I respond. Now, one thing that I want to make clear as well is there's a difference between an SSRI and a difference between a mood stabilizer, right?
Okay.
So an SSRI, which is what I'm currently on, is something that will take a negative emotion and lift it to neutral. By no means am I bouncing around a room going, yay, I'm so positive, everything's amazing, the building's on fire, oh well. Not at all, right? That's more of a mood stabilizer, where a mood stabilizer just brings the mania down to a benchmark. And I'm petrified if there are any neuroscientists or psychiatrists listening, because I could have quoted that incorrectly.
We have a neuroscientist.
Fantastic.
Coming
So I hope they don't shoot me down if I got that wrong, okay? But I know with SSRI, it just changes the negative to a neutral. And because it doesn't change because it changes the negative to a neutral, I am no longer spiraling and I have space to breathe. I cannot tell you how this has changed my quality of life.
How were you managing your life before this important
I
medication?
I present to the world like I do.
Was there more crying? Was there more anxiety? Was there more hiding? Was there more
isolation?
Isolation.
And you would have known this for knowing me before a couple of years now, where all of a sudden I'll disappear off Instagram for a while.
Yeah. So I also want to be even more transparent to everyone watching the podcast that I do have certain amazing clients, younger and past 40s, who have ADHD, and I saw that they were struggling. They were feeling apprehensive, ashamed, and then knowing you, I said, Andrew, help me help more people unmute from the shame. And then more questions that I have for you. I mean, so many questions.
I have to interrupt you there. I'm so sorry, because I have to say this. There's one of the things that I wanted to say, particularly around the shame. When I finally got that diagnosis, and I skipped past this, the moment I got that diagnosis of ADHD, and people will react differently. I had a really, really close friend of mine, when she received her diagnosis, she went into mourning for the being so hard on herself for her entire life and allowing people to be hard on her, right? I fell into this beautiful pool of compassion that I have never experienced for myself before, right? And because I'm just like, oh my God, it all makes sense now.
That's why.
That is why. And the moment, so you know when you learn something, and then the moment somehow in your life that learning is applied, and you make that, then it's like cemented, right, in your neural pathways. So I was facilitating a training session, and there was some collateral props that we were using during this training session, and I took these props and I put it down somewhere, and then I went to go answer a question or something, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I had them in my hand 5 seconds ago. Previously I'd go, Andrew, you are in the middle of a training session. How can you let this happen?
Compassion.
And now I was like, that's that. Forgetting where you put something very quickly and often is synonymous with ADHD. So I'm like, oh, it's the ADHD. And the moment I closed it off and said it's because of the ADHD, I remembered where it was. I went to go fetch that prop, and the training session went on without a hiccup.
Where can anyone go for this test? What is the easiest way to get tested?
I think start off, if you're in the UAE, all right, or if you're in the region, I go to the American Center of Psychiatry and Psychology, or it's the other way around, and I would just start there and just ask, what would it take? I chose to do an assessment in South Africa because of costs and things like that. It just worked out a lot more feasible for me to do it in South Africa. And this is something that's pretty big for your life, okay? So I didn't just want to go to somebody I didn't know. And one of the reasons, other than the feasibility of cost for the assessment in South Africa, the psychiatrist that I went to was already treating a family member. Okay. So they knew a bit of family history.
There's something territory plus history.
Exactly.
Plus history.
Right? So that's why I chose to go there. And then to maintain, I go monthly to my psychiatrist here in Dubai, who's also South African, actually. And it's just familiarity. He's incredible. And yeah.
Amazing humans. I'm a huge fan of you people and of your amazing country.
Thank you.
How is ADHD a superpower when you're consulting and coaching? Part of the question. Second part is, I'm sure many people out there feel like, I have it, I will take the medication, I will see my doctor, but I won't tell anyone, as if they don't already noticed. They haven't noticed already. So how come it was easier for you to say, yeah, let's embrace it, this is who I am? Was it courage and part the environment?
It
Good.
it was with my ADHD diagnosis and some recent events in my life as well, but I've just become unapologetic for who I am. If I am not hurting anybody else and I am living true to myself, and it's my favorite singer, Anastasia, who lives literally by that. As long as I'm not hurting anybody else, I'm going to do my own thing that makes me happy. And at some point, you just said it yourself. At some point, people are going to realize there's something different about you, right? So if your friends or your family members don't already suspect something, then they are. At some point, they would, right? So why carry a shame, or why carry shame for, and I don't want to take value or devalue anybody's journey from cultural backgrounds, there's so many layers to this. But why carry shame for something that you cannot control? Why? Who told you to do that? Where were you conditioned? Why are you surrounding yourself with those people?
Do you think ADHD is something that activates, or it's in your DNA? Do you think it's something?
No. So if you go back to the development of the brain.
Yeah.
So it could be, I think DNA is quite deep. I don't know if ADHD is hereditary. I'm not quite sure.
That was my
question. I'm not quite sure if it's hereditary. I haven't actually gone that far in the research, but I know that it's got to do with the development of the brain, and then depending on when it is found out or when it's diagnosed, because a lot of people will have it diagnosed as children, and they learn mechanisms relatively quickly when they're kids that they don't have to have medication at all when they're adults. Whereas somebody who has been operating in a particular way, we said this at the beginning of the session, when we are operating in a particular way, I mean, when I got diagnosed with ADHD, I was 36, right? And at 36, the way I behave is kind of set in stone. Okay,
it's kind
of set in stone. Like this is how I behave, right? And you can make minor adjustments to your behavior, but at the end of the day, you kind of are who you are at 36. Maybe not for some people, but it's to now go, oh, now I have to change things, or I need to change this, or I have to be mindful of this now. It's very new, and it can be daunting for some people, right? So I think, to get back to your question, is don't carry it's easy to say don't carry shame. I think whoever's listening to this and carries shame or feels bad for the fact that they have ADHD or any other neurodiverse diagnosis, ask yourself why. Where does the shame come from? Sit on the edge of your bed in silence and listen. Pay attention. You're probably going to hear nothing. I'm just going to be honest with you the first time. So do it a couple of times, right? And just sit in silence and ask yourself that question of, why am I carrying shame for this? Where did it start?
Because you stand out, because you're not accepted, because people are judging you, and you can read those judgments. That's why. You
can read the judgments, yes, but, and Salma Hayek said this beautifully in a video, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because I follow you.
Exactly, right? So if I say, or if I mock you in Afrikaans, it means nothing to you because you don't understand it, right? But I'm the one that's carrying all of the weight of those words, even though I'm the one that's trying to project it on you. It means nothing to you. So ask yourself, the faces of the people that you are taking seriously and allowing that shame to sink in, could be primary caretakers, it could be people that are really, really big and impactful in your life. But ask yourself, where did it start and why am I carrying shame? Get to that root cause and then start to make a difference. Don't just go, oh yeah, I'm going to change my mindset because that guy in that colorful shirt on this podcast said, I must change my mindset. Absolutely not. I would never ask or expect anybody to change unless they've practiced it or they've found out the root cause of why they behave the way that they behave.
So I'm going to ask a question and I'm going to behave as if I have ADHD.
Okay.
You said because that guy in that colorful shirt. So why did you choose to make your shirt and to replicate the shirt that you had when you were young? Why?
A number of reasons. Yeah. One of the things that I am is I'm very sentimental, incredibly sentimental. I assign meaning to almost everything. Okay. And I was going through photos, and I have a lot of photos in my house. I'm all about pictures with my friends and my family, and it makes a house a home for me, right? Pictures with people. I even have a whole wall of Polaroid pictures that are just stuck there with blue tack, and it's come out so beautifully. And I was going through pictures, and I put this picture up, and I've always held onto this picture of me when I was 5 years old, and I'll give it to you for post-production so you can probably flash it up here. But it was a picture of me wearing this jersey that my mom had made me. And it was the only jersey that my mom had ever made me, right? Because my mom doesn't sew or knit or whatever, but she took on the project because she wants to make something for me when I was 4 or 5. And I've always held on to this photo because it's a beautiful little jersey that I'm wearing. And I've got these little blue shorts on, and I look so cute. And I think when you're able to talk to that version of yourself when you're younger, and you hear this in so much of the work of self-help, right? From the Mel Robbins to the Brene Browns to almost everybody, is when you are looking at that picture of your younger self, right? And you're able to go, oh my God, I love you. I absolutely love you. That was that picture for me, right?
Got it.
And I was rearranging my photos on the TV cabinet the other day, it was a few months ago. And I looked at this picture and I got, I could pull this off now.
You could.
I could totally pull this off. So I call up my friend Avi and I go, Avi, I need your help. I need to remake this. And he's like, no problem. And he's remade it. And also because it was so significant for my parents, I showed up in Cape Town. I went to go buy blue pants and I replicated the entire look. And then I just walked out of my room and my parents were like, what? Why is this so familiar but so surprising and shocking? So yeah, it's very, very special, and I get a lot of compliments on it. So,
Andrew, I think we've pinpoint enough for people to unmute themselves out of the ADHD and embracing being neurodivergent. I want to also let more people know about your superpowers, 20 years of research in behavior and your framework. Let me remember it. I can do this.
She's going to say jump ship. She's going to say jump ship.
Shift framework.
So yes, the jump shift
and
framework.
I bet before you tell us that really you are inspired by 20 years of experience and consulting so many incredible companies. You were always in different country. So when the framework came about, and who is it helping? And
so the framework came about by accident. I was asked to co-author a book in 2020 called Your Dose of Motivation, and I'm going to try and give this to you as quick as possible in the
Take your time.
Okay, perfect. I wrote my chapter for this book, and I called the chapter Get Off the Ground. And the reason why I did was when you jump, right? When you actually physically, when you lift your feet off the ground and you hit the ground hard again, like you hit the ground with intention, you are flooded with endorphins. You are flooded with endorphins, whether you choose to or not. There is endorphins that will be flooded in your brain, and all of a sudden, that hard landing, like you jump up and you land with intention. And sometimes you can just jump and land, and it will be hard enough to kickstart a bit of that endorphins. But that mechanism, that movement of just the jumping, which tells you you have everything you already need, floods your brain with the energy to get you going, right? So I was like, if I want to get people off the ground, I'm going to get them to jump. And then I'm probably going to have to make something of this jump. And we love an acronym, right? So JUMP stands for Jolt Your Journey, Unlearn in Order to Unlock, Movement equals Momentum, and Peak and Persist.
Peak and persist.
Peak and persist. Stop. So, Jolt Your Journey is, for me, the jump signifies a bit of the jolt of the Jolt Your Journey, but Jolt Your Journey is taking that first step in the direction you need to, you need to move in. And I say you need to move in that direction because it's probably something you've been putting off for a while, right? And Jolt Your Journey is the jump, and it is marking the event of taking that first step.
Okay.
Now remember, I'm going to take you back to what we were saying earlier, where unmuting doesn't have to be a big event. Unmuting can be tiny. Jumps can be small little jumps. The jolts can be, you could go and sign the gym contract that you've been putting off for ages now. You can go and sign up to that 2-week course that you wanted to do on Canva, for example, right? All these little things can be big things for other people. It's how you perceive them, right? So that's the jolt. Then unlearn to unlock, I think is pretty self-explanatory.
For sure.
If you do the same thing over and over and expect the same and different results, what is that the definition of?
Insanity.
Insanity. So that's pretty straightforward. I won't go into too much depth in there.
Yeah.
Movement equals momentum.
Yeah.
This was a big one for me because getting started is the most difficult.
Yeah.
Once you're cruising, think about petrol in a car.
Yeah.
Stop, go, you consume more.
Yeah.
Cruising on the highway, you consume less.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then peak and persist. And this is where people get most of it wrong, is they hit that goal, they hit that target, and then they stop and everything just goes back to normal. No. You must peak, and when you peak, persist. Because that energy that you have at the peak is going to be the energy that's going to jolt you into your next jump, right? And then I was like, I wrote this and I kind of forgot about it.
Okay.
I forgot about it. And then I knew that this year, for the first time in all of my personal branding journeys, this year, the rebrand came from a need outside of me.
Okay.
Yeah. All of my rebrands, like the Leading with Andrew show, Andrew W., all of those brands was because I wanted to. You know, I wanted to be creative and let that creative part out of myself. But Andrew Wallace of the personal brand, which then became the sort of overarching system for the Jump Shift framework, came from a need. I was asked.
Yeah, very nice.
Right? So it was a completely different approach. So then I was sitting with a personal brand strategist. I don't want to say her name yet. She knows exactly who she is. We were on a phone call. We were introduced by a mutual friend. And we were on a call, and it was like chemistry that I've never experienced in my life. It was like, we were going, huh. So we were talking about it. And then she says, Andrew, talk to me about, because we need to come up with your story. Talk to me about you on stage. What do you see? Visualize. Go. I was like, people in the audience, I don't know if they all know it at the same time or if they're all conscious of it, but at some point in their life, they've been stuck or they are stuck now.
Exactly.
It just came out.
Exactly.
And I was like, hang on a second. If I'm going to help these people get unstuck, I wrote a book with J.U.M.P from 2020. Like on the phone call, I think we were almost in tears, right? Because I wrote J.U.M.P 4 years or 5 years ago. Exactly.
Connecting the dots together.
Correct. So now all of a sudden, all those stars become a constellation.
Beautiful.
So the Jump Shift framework is J.U.M.P with getting people unstuck, right? And then that led into the other part of the framework, which is the second system called Illuminate, Inspire, Ignite, which is basically the 3-2-1 before J.U.M.P, right? Illuminate, raise awareness. Right? And bearing in mind this can happen in milliseconds, right? Sure. Illuminate, you're aware. Inspire, bias to action. Ignite, that like striking of the match, and then you jump. And that's the Jump Shift framework.
Who is this helping?
The person who thought that a title was going to bring them a load of happiness.
Okay.
And they've got everything tick box wise. They've got the car, they've got the kids, they've got the house, they've got the holiday house, they've got everything, but they're scrolling Instagram at 9 o'clock at night, hoping something is going to bring them fulfillment that they felt when they first got their position or they got everything that they ever asked for.
So more than unstuckness is also realignment.
Correct. Or it's also speaking to the person that feels as though or perceives that they have not achieved much in their life. I'm pretty sure people around them would disagree. But for the person that doesn't feel that they've achieved enough in life or haven't achieved anything in life, it's the last framework or book that you're going to have to pick up. We'll need to pick up.
Have you tested it already on people?
I have. I have tested it on people.
What do people say? What's happening? What are the results?
People think I'm weird, but that's normal. People just go like, why is this guy getting us to jump? Like, come on, you know. Eventually it will be a movement that people will know if Andrew's going to walk into a room.
You said.
Exactly.
You said you want to have the Coca-Cola Arena full
of
people.
That's the dream. Full of people jumping. I don't want to cause an earthquake, but full of people jumping into the next stage of their life.
When that happens, will you play this part of the podcast?
Oh my God, absolutely.
Because
you'll probably be on stage with me.
Of course. Yeah. or front row to enjoy it. One of the two. Why do you want the Coca-Cola Arena of people? Why more people?
Think about vibration and energy.
But do you think many people are stuck?
Have been or are currently. Okay. Every single human being on this planet, at some point in their lives, if they aren't right now in this moment listening to this podcast, have been stuck. I guarantee. I will put money on it.
And without your framework and without your perspective, how are people getting unstuck?
I mean, there is... So, exclusive. I've started writing my book, right? The whole book around Jump Shift framework, all of that, right? And that's hopefully going to come out.
20 years of research.
Exactly. Come on, right? So one of the exercises that I did before I wrote my book, before I started writing my book, is I did an incredible amount of research on the self-help industry, right? Where they get it right and where they get it wrong, where they sell things that are just not achievable without the add-on or the addition or the new book or this or that or whatever. And that's something that I've made a commitment that I will never do, is I'm not going to say the word, and you'll never hear me in my vocabulary as my personal brand, hear me use the word transform. I can't transform you. I can get you to move through jumping. I'm not even going to tell you what the next step is that you need to take. When you jump, you'll know what it is. You might not know it might not be articulated well, but you're going to do it.
So you allow people to take responsibility, you facilitate, you give the space and the tools, and the transformation happens, not you transform.
Happens. I don't transform people.
I love that.
And I will never promise to do that for you. I never, ever,
and
ever
what do you
promise
think
that
of the people who are promising transformation?
Well, let's speak to their clients.
So
Maybe people that have moved on to another speaker, or that have moved on to.
My question is, what do you think of people who are promising to their clients transformation? Yeah. Use that mic. Say it. Say it.
Look, do you know what? If it works and your clients feel transformed, and they can attest to that, go for it.
Okay.
If it works for you, it works for you. I know I can't transform people. I know this because with ADHD, I can start things. I'm an igniter. I can get a group of people together that have never met in their entire lives, and I can get them to move towards something. That is my strength. I've been able to do that religiously from my flying career to my corporate career. I can do that well. Then I set you up with the toolkit that you need, that is everything that you need along the journey. And then you've got to take the accountability for your own life and move through the transformation on your own. If you need me, I'll be there. I'll be like, yes,
you're
go for it.
You're true to yourself. You're saying you're an igniter. I have the tools. Okay. Do you plan to do more keynotes on
100%. So I've got the
pioneering and speaking about the framework, but also about being a champion of someone who carries gracefully ADHD?
Absolutely.
You have to. I sincerely feel the world needs more and more beacons of light who are true to themselves, because I imagine. What is the percentage in the world? You must have this number.
No? I actually don't. No? I actually don't have that number. And this is the only reason why I shy away sometimes from talking about ADHD, is because data changes so often, right? Or not data changes, sorry. New data is revealed, particularly in research. Right?
But let me go quickly in the past. Why 20 years ago we didn't have as many people neurodivergent, and why do we
didn't have access to that information 20 years ago?
Got it.
So if you think about how medical research has compounded over the years, I think from between 1970s and 1990, the amount of medical research that was made available to the public has since quadrupled in a less amount of time. So in 20 years, what research was released, that 20 years was like 40 years worth of research that was released in the following 5 years, for example, in terms of ratio. So it's just because we've progressed and we've got access to all of these things now that we are able to.
Promise me that you'll be my friend forever. I adore your soul and your mind.
Pinky swear, what are you doing?
I adore your soul and your mind. I adore you. I respect you. I
adore and respect you. I mean, I was the super fan. Like I am the super fan that stalked you on Instagram and said, "Please be my friend."
See? Where in your life you haven't unmute yourself?
Where in my life have I not unmute myself?
Yeah. Is there a place still?
There is a place, and it's funny that you asked this to me today, because it's actually quite significant on this date, the 15th of May, 16th of May, actually. And I would say that is in my relationships, romantic relationships.
Same here. That's why we are friends.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. So it's one part that I've realized that I have not unmuted myself in. And that's probably where the biggest people pleaser in me still lives, is in romantic relationships.
Well, all those 20 years of human resource,
She's warming up because she's singing next.
Reciting a poem for you. Reciting a poem for you. All your experience in human behavior and the incredible work that you are doing and how much you are giving to the world is definitely going to help you put that puzzle together too. I have no doubt in my mind for that. Before I allow you to leave the studio, I want to tell you how much I love you in the following way.
Okay.
the man who helps us switch back on. Yeah, Andreea on. A proud South African, grounded and bold, with stories and wisdom not bought or sold. You've flown through the skies, stood tall on the stage, and led from the heart through each season and age. You don't lead with ego, you don't chase the noise. You show us the presence is one of your joys. The power's not force, it's the courage to feel, to drop all the masks and get back to what's real. Andreea on isn't just something you say, it's a pat, it's a pulse, it's a light up the way. It's for those who feel stuck, off track, or off unknown. You help them remember their life is their own. You've built with intention, with humor, with grace, with ADHD as your launch pad, not place to erase. You turned every label into something new. You made space for others to honor theirs too. You remind us our difference is nothing to hide, that we lead best when we lead from inside. So here is to your mission, your voice and your spark for helping so many switch on from the dark.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. Nobody's ever written me a poem before. I wish I could hug. Can we hug on camera? That's so amazing. Thank you so much. Oh, nobody's written me a poem before.
You deserve the world. You deserve poems, accolades.
So do you.
Thank you for being on UnMute.
Thank you for the work that you're doing. Honestly, this is incredible. I mean, took you a while.
It took me.
Took you a while to start it, but you're here now, and I couldn't be
to...
more proud of you, honestly. And you should be so proud of yourself.
I didn't have the jump
The jump ship framework. The jump ship. Okay, just for the podcast, we're going to call it the jump ship framework.
It's jump ship. Jump ship.
She'll get it one day. So honestly, the work that you're doing, keep it up. Keep it up, girl.
I need more friends in my corner like you. I've called you a few times. We have to meet. I need more support and help. I have so much to learn from you.
I've had so much to learn from you.
Thank you for championing ADHD and helping leaders get unstuck.
You're welcome. It is my pleasure. It is my gift to the world because it makes people feel better about themselves and their surroundings.